So a leader must provide them with a purpose. Great.
After last week's shocking ending, House of David Season 2, Episode 4 continues to escalate the tension between Saul, David, and the political forces surrounding them. Episode 3 left us hanging with Adriel's secret visit to King Saul, where he promised to reveal the identity of God's true anointed king. Now in this episode, the aftermath of that dangerous meeting unfolds, setting off a chain of consequences that shake every major character to the core. Welcome back to Your Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Let's dive into everything that went down, from Adriel's manipulative schemes and Eliab's horrifying guilt to David's first failure as a leader, Saul's confrontation with Samuel, and the heartbreaking emotional fallout between David, Mirab, and Mychal.
Envy you. Experiencing all this for the first.
Adriel's false revelation and Saul's deadly mistake. Episode 4 begins by picking up right where things left off. Adriel, the cunning elder from the tribe of Judah, has already visited Saul and offered to expose the one chosen by God to replace him. Saul's paranoia, already sky high, pushes him to act fast. At first, it seems like Adriel has revealed the truth, that David is the real anointed king, because Saul's reaction is swift and brutal. He secretly calls upon Joab, his trusted military commander, and David's eldest brother Eliab, giving them orders to carry out a covert assassination. The tension builds because it looks like Saul is sending Eliab to unknowingly kill his own brother, which would make this one of the darkest twists of the season. But then, the show drops a major reveal. Adriel lied. Instead of giving Saul the actual address of Jesse's home in Bethlehem, where Samuel anointed David, Adriel deliberately misled him by naming a neighbor's house instead. Adriel's move is brilliantly deceptive. He gives Saul just enough information to earn his trust, but twists it so that the king unknowingly targets innocent people. This cruel manipulation sets off a horrifying event. Joab, blindly following Saul's orders, brings Eliab along under the pretense of a military errand. Eliab is confused but loyal, and as they reach Bethlehem, he begins to sense something's wrong. Saul's paranoia and thirst for blood now lead to tragedy.
Taking village after village. Now, mine.
The massacre in Bethlehem. The tension peaks when Joab and Eliab arrive at the home Saul believes belongs to the new anointed king. In truth, it's the home of a simple farmer and his family. Joab coldly kills the farmer, and then he orders Eliab to finish the job by slaughtering the rest of the household, including the children. Eliab's horror is palpable. He's torn between his duty to obey the king and his conscience, which is screaming at him to stop. But Saul's command leaves no room for mercy. In an absolutely gut-wrenching sequence, Eliab is forced to commit unspeakable violence. He kills the children, trembling and shattered inside. When the killing stops, Joab goes off to finish the remaining workers in the field, and Eliab is left surrounded by lifeless bodies, innocent blood on his hands. It's a devastating moment that breaks him completely. The guilt consumes him from the inside out. Upon returning to the camp, Eliab is quiet, distant, and visibly haunted. He can't eat or speak properly, and the images of the massacre replay in his mind endlessly. Eventually, he breaks down and even contemplates taking his own life. He lifts his sword, ready to stab himself, but hesitates at the final second. He can't do it. For now, Eliab lives, but his soul is fractured. The emotional fallout from this event feels like a ticking bomb. It's clear that his remorse could evolve into something far more dangerous in the coming episodes. Maybe vengeance against Saul, or even an alliance with David against the king.
But you led with emotion, and you gave up our position.
David's first great failure as a leader. While Saul deals with his delusions of victory, David faces his own test of leadership, and it does not go well. As Saul's army marches toward the tabernacle, news arrives that the Philistines have attacked a nearby village called Geba. A frightened farmer reaches them just in time to warn the king's army. David, who's now been promoted to commander of 1,000 men, immediately takes charge. It's his first major command in battle, and he wants to prove himself. Maybe too much. Driven by courage, but lacking tactical experience, David leads his men straight into Geba, planning to drive the Philistines out. At first, it looks noble, the classic underdog hero move, but it turns into a disaster. The Philistines might have been outnumbered, but they were tactically superior and used David's rash charge against him. The village is torn apart in the battle, and many of David's own men die unnecessarily. Among the fallen is Etan, a soldier beloved by his comrades. His death hits everyone hard, and it hits David even harder. David realizes that his pride and inexperience cost lives. His soldiers look at him with disappointment instead of reverence. The weight of that failure crushes him emotionally, and for the first time, we see David truly break down. But out of this darkness comes an unexpected comfort, Mirab.
And the truth is, you and I, we are what this king...
Mirab and David, an unexpected alliance. Throughout the series, Mirab has been portrayed as politically shrewd and emotionally distant, especially since her engagement with David was a calculated move. But in this episode, her dynamic with him changes in a surprising way. After David's emotional breakdown following the debacle at Geba, Mirab quietly steps in to console him. She doesn't mock or judge him. Instead, she listens. It's the first genuine moment of connection between them. When David questions her motives and brings up how she sabotaged her sister Mychal's relationship with him, Mirab opens up honestly. She admits that she spent her entire life being overshadowed, ignored, and treated as a political pawn. Her decision to marry David was her way of reclaiming some agency, of being seen and respected. Their vulnerability creates a fragile but real bond between them. Later, when they stand together before the people of Israel at the tabernacle, Mirab reaches for David's hand. For the public, it's a display of unity and strength, but privately, it's something more, a shared understanding that they're both trapped in roles larger than themselves. It's clear now that Mirab and David are starting to see each other differently, maybe not as lovers yet, but as allies bound by circumstance and growing empathy.
Do not speak against God, not to be, and certainly not here.
No, that's not what I...
Mychal's heartbreak and sacrifice. Of course, David's closeness with Mirab doesn't go unnoticed, especially by Mychal, who still loves him deeply. Watching her sister comfort David after his failure is painful enough, but seeing them hold hands publicly at the tabernacle is the final blow. Mychal realizes the truth she's been avoiding, that her relationship with David is doomed, so she makes the painful choice to let him go. Mychal decides to end her secret relationship with David, believing it's the only way to prevent further chaos within her family and the kingdom. The house of Saul is already fractured. Her mother Anahom is absent. Her sister Mirab has turned manipulative, and Saul himself is spiraling. Adding a forbidden romance to that mix would only worsen things. In her final conversation with Mirab, Mychal concedes defeat, but also makes it clear that she cannot support her sister's path. Her heartbreak is raw, a mix of jealousy, resignation, and a deep sense of loss. It's one of the episode's most emotional moments, because Mychal's decision isn't just about love, it's about survival, both emotional and political.
Now show the people I am God's chosen king.
Saul's confrontation with Samuel. Meanwhile, King Saul, drunk on arrogance and the false belief that he's eliminated the threat to his throne, turns his attention back to Prophet Samuel. He visits the tabernacle, not with humility, but with manipulation. He first tries to convince Samuel's wife Helah to persuade the prophet to rejoin him, suddenly threatening that their lives could become difficult if he refuses. But Helah doesn't bend.
So Saul decides to face Samuel directly, interrupting a sacred ritual in front of priests and subjects. His arrogance is chilling. He actually believes he can threaten God's prophet into submission. With David hidden among the crowd, Samuel stands firm. He knows Saul has killed the wrong family, that the true anointed king is still alive. And in that moment, Samuel's composure becomes defiance. he publicly rejects Saul's offer of friendship and power, declaring his continued disapproval of the king's actions. The crowd witnesses it all, a prophet standing firm against a tyrant. Saul's humiliation is complete. The look in his eyes says it all. This isn't over. His fury at Samuel's defiance sets the stage for even darker confrontations in the episodes ahead.
Do not worry. I have put the name of another in the king's ear.
Adriel's cunning play for power. Amid all the political chaos, Adriel resurfaces briefly but crucially. He approaches David in the crowd, revealing his true game plan. By misleading Saul, he claims to have protected David's identity, not out of loyalty, but out of ambition. He expects repayment. He tells David that when he eventually becomes king, he should remember who helped him survive Saul's wrath. It's a cold, calculated move. Adriel has positioned himself perfectly between both sides, a survivor who's loyal to no one but himself. His manipulative brilliance makes him one of the show's most dangerous political players. David, meanwhile, listens silently, clearly realizing that Adriel's favor is just another form of leverage. It's a fascinating setup for what could become an uneasy alliance in the future, one built entirely on mistrust.
And you, take them.
Jonathan and Sara, love and regret. Finally, the episode closes with Jonathan and Sara, whose subplot brings a more personal kind of tragedy. Jonathan finally confesses his feelings for Sara, hoping to start something real between them, but Sara rejects him, not because she doesn't care, but because of her pain. She reveals that her brother had once joined the army, inspired by Jonathan's passionate speeches about serving Israel. Her brother died in the war Jonathan led. So when she looks at Jonathan, all she can see is the face of the man who inspired her brother to his death. Her rejection is gentle but firm, and it leaves Jonathan speechless. It's a heartbreaking moment that also humanizes both of them. Jonathan, the noble but flawed soldier, and Sara, the healer who can't heal her own heart. Still, there's a sense that their story isn't finished. Jonathan's sincerity and sense of honor might eventually change Sara's mind, but it'll take more than apologies. It'll take redemption.
Your false anointed one, breathe no more.
Our nerdy thoughts. Episode 4 of House of David is easily one of the most emotionally charged chapters of the season. It intertwines tragedy, faith, and power in ways that hit both the heart and the mind. By the end, we have Saul deluding himself into believing he's defeated God's chosen king, Samuel boldly defying the king in front of everyone, Eliab drowning in guilt that could soon explode into rebellion, David starting to understand the crushing burden of leadership, and Adriel quietly pulling strings behind the scenes for his own rise. It's a masterclass in slow-burn political storytelling, biblical drama with Shakespearean intensity. And as the closing moments hint, the battle for Israel's soul is far from over. Saul's madness, David's growing wisdom, and the ever-shifting alliances around them promise that the road ahead will only get darker and far more dangerous. House of David Season 2, Episode 4 doesn't just move the story forward, it reshapes it. Every character now carries emotional scars that will define their choices in the coming war for the throne. If Saul thinks his throne is safe, he couldn't be more wrong. Because as Samuel and the audience both know, the true king still lives, and his time is coming.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.